Okay, so this is going to be a lesson on basic EQing using presets in Studio One. So I have a copy of Studio One Professional here, but I'm only going to use EQ inserts that come with Studio One Prime, so that you can use the free version of Studio One to do this. So I've got a track that I've pulled in already. I've done some mixing to it already. One other thing I've done is I've already stacked up all the drums together, so they're in one big block, so they're a bit easier to see. And then I've got bass down here, keys and vocals. So not too complicated a track to work with, apart from a lot of drums in there as well. I might even simplify this a little bit further. You can see we've got two lots of bass. We've got an active DI, which is the bass being literally plugged into the mixer through a DI, and then we've got a bass amp, which means the amplifier of the bass guitar has been microphoned. So whilst it's the same thing, it's just two different recordings of the same thing. Similar to our kick drum, we've got three different microphones on the one kick drum there. We can use all three, or we might just take out one or two of them just for simplicity, but we'll have a listen and see how we go. Now if I click on mix down the bottom here, you'll see that I've already done some adjustment to the levels, and I've already done some panning there. But under inserts, there's nothing in here yet. So this is where our EQs are going to go, in under inserts. Alright, let's make a start. Let's just find the lead vocals. They'll be down here somewhere. Let's just solo that one out. See what we've got. I'm not hearing anything at the moment. Why? Is it because it's turned down?
And
perhaps?
you're running far away from the person you could be, and you keep on living the same. Oh Lord, what a shame.
Okay, so what I think I've discovered there is it's actually the same vocalist, again with two different mics perhaps there.
Oh Lord, what a shame. Oh Lord, what a shame.
Oh, no. Okay, so we've got our lead vocals here, and this vocals here has an effect. It sounds like a delay effect on there.
So bring the light
Yeah, you can hear that echo.
and find what's inside. Oh, and let.
Very cool. Okay, so we've got sort of an echo there. So if I combine them together.
Let your heart guide. No, yeah. So bring the light. Na, yeah. So bring the.
Okay, so this vocal line here, there's no echo, there's no delay on that. This one that's labelled effects, that has a delay effect on there. So let's just focus on the lead vocal for the moment. So over here under inserts, what we need to do to add an EQ is hit on the plus there, scroll down to channel strip. So on the pro version, you've got this pro EQ, which I like to use, but on the free version, it's just the channel strip. So we'll click on that one, and there it is. There's an EQ there, and it'll pop up on your screen. I've got another screen, so it's just gone off the bottom, but I'll drag it up so that you can see our channel strip here. At the moment, there's no adjustment on the EQ. It's just a flat line like this. Oop, a flat line. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this and make some changes to it. A good thing to do at this point is perhaps loop a section of the audio so that you can get that going over and over like that. Our loop is active, I know, because it's nice and blue there.
Oh Lord, what a shame.
So that'll just get to the end. And repeat
Oh
back to the start.
Lord, what a shame.
Now one thing I'm noticing in this mic is there's a lot of drum kit, particularly the cymbals in this recording. So we might try and take that out a little bit by taking out some high end. But if you're new to EQing, perhaps the place to start is by grabbing one of these little dots and punching a lot of different frequencies in there and just seeing what it does to the sound. Up this end, you're going to hear a lot of the wispy high, cymbal and breathy sort of stuff up here. This is sort of your mid-range. This is where your vocalist notes are that they're actually singing. and down here you got the bass end. A lot of times in microphones you might get perhaps a rumble from stage or from movement, feet, and those sorts of things will come through here, but also your bass guitar and your kick drum and those sorts of things will come in down the bottom. So let's just have a bit of a play with it.
Oh Lord, what a shame. So bring the
they call that air sound as well, right up the top.
And find
Alright, not very nice. We'll go down the bottom now.
what's inside. Oh, and let your heart guide. No, yeah. So bring.
You really hear that bass drum kicking in through that mic now. Let's play with the middle a little bit.
The line. Na na na, yeah. So bring the line. Na na na, yeah. So bring the line. Oh Lord, what a shame. Oh Lord, what a shame.
Alright, so just when you first use this thing, just have a play around and see what manipulating it in different ways does. Now, I'll point out, this one at the bottom here, that's called a high-pass filter, and basically we're just pulling all of the bass from a certain frequency out. Now, with a vocalist, I mean, you're not going to hear much below there anyway, so you probably wouldn't have that in. But you'd leave it in for a bass drum or a bass guitar. That's where you get that rumble that you sort of almost feel more than here. You want to keep that in down the bottom. But we might take it out for a vocalist. I'd normally pull that back a little bit. So to take it another step simpler for new users, I'd recommend using presets to start with, and just while you're using the presets, take note of what they do. So our presets are in this drop-down menu here, and they basically set up an EQ which suits the average of whatever it is you're trying to apply it to. For example, this is a female vocalist, so we've got a couple of presets there for female vocalist. So we're going to try those first, and we're going to let it play, and I'm going to swap between the two, and we're going to see what they sound like.
Oh Lord, what a shame. Yeah. So bring the line and find what's inside. Oh, and
Alright, so you can definitely hear that the bass has been pulled out of that. And in both EQs, I felt there's a lot of cymbals, especially this one with that little spike at the end, and there's a lot of from the hi-hat going on, and I think I'm going to pull some of that out. Which one to start from? Well, I think I'll go this one here, but we'll get rid of that.
let your heart guide. No, yeah. So bring the line. Na na na, yeah. So bring the line. Na na na, yeah. So bring the line. Oh Lord, what a shame. Oh Lord, what a shame. Oh Lord, what a shame. Yeah. So bring.
And a good rule of thumb for vocals too is to try and get a sound that sounds real, like they're in the room with you. You don't, well, I suppose some music you want it to sort of sound fake and synthesized, but I think as a basic rule, try and make it sound as if they're in the room with you. Alright, I'm going to switch to this one with the effects now.
And find what's inside.
Again, going to inserts, the little plus sign, looking for channel strip. Click the little drop down, vocals, and we'll just swap between these two and see how we feel.
Oh, and let your heart guide. No, yeah. So bring the line. Na na na, yeah. So bring the line. Na na na, yeah. So bring the line.
Alright, that'll do for now. Alright, next. So we're happy with our vocals. Let's have a listen to our keyboards. First things first, are they two? I think they're two different keyboards. Let's have a listen. Help if I turn it up, wouldn't it? Alright, so they're the same keyboard, they've just got two different mics on. For ease, I might just pick one of them. Let's have a listen. This one sounds a lot closer. In this one here, I'm getting a bit of room sound in there as well. Just for the sake of this lesson, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that track and we're just going to use this one here. So again with the presets, instruments, organ. Let's just see what it does. They've taken some bass out here, I see. I actually quite like the warmth in that. So adding a little bit down the low end here adds a sort of warmth to the instrument. Alright, and when you're happy, move on to the next. Bass guitar. Inserts, channel strip, instruments, and we've got these bass guitar EQs here. I think I actually like that one. It's just very quiet. So in Studio One we can turn it up. Sometimes you have to zoom out to do this, but this little square here allows us to increase the gain. When you're happy with that EQ, move on. So we might go up to our drum kit now. What do we got? Rack. Alright, what you're hearing there on the rack tom isn't the rack tom being played. I think it's just vibrating in sympathy. So someone's hitting the snare, and then the rack tom here is giving a bit of a hum. Let's just look at the rest of the track. I'm not even convinced he's using that. Let's just go down to snare. So again, snare top, snare bottom. That's just two different mics on the same instrument. Just for ease of simplicity, I'm just going to take the bottom mic out and we're going to keep the top one. It's a rim tap going on there. There's our snare drum. So channel strip, drums, SD for snare drum. So there's quite a few presets here I can use. Well, I like that one actually. Yeah, I really like this one straight away. I'm happy with that. Alright, done. Kick. Again, the kick drum, there's a mic inside and a mic outside. Let's just have a listen. I'm just going to use the in one for the sake of this. I'll remove that one. Channel strip. Drums. Bass drum. BD for bass drum. I always quite like the metal and the rock ones, to be honest. When you're happy. So kick out. Ooh. Get rid of that one. Hi-hats. Channel strip. Drums. Let's have a listen. You see it poking up the hi-hats here. Ooh. See it poking up the treble to really bring the hi-hats out. I'll point something else out now. So as well as these preset channel strips that you can use, let's just grab floor tom. Is it used at all? Looks like it comes in here. Yeah, there it is. So there's just a little bit of floor tom use there. Let's pull that in. There it is. Turn that up so we can hear it. So next to the little plus button that we've been using, there's also this drop down arrow. So drums, and it will put in a preset EQ for you, but along with all this other stuff, which I'm not going to teach in this lesson. So you can play around with those. So drop down, it's added an expander, which basically makes your louds a bit louder and your softs a bit softer, and a compressor which sort of does the opposite, and then they've put an EQ in there for you. Ooh, that's a Pro EQ. Now, I've got to be careful. This may not be in Studio Prime. This might be because I've got the professional version. Let's have a listen anyway. So just being aware what that drop-down menu is for. I'm not going to go any further into it because I'm afraid I might show you things that are only in the Pro version, and I want to stick to Studio One Prime. Let's have a listen to our track now.
You may lose. Yeah, you're running far away from the choices you can make, and you keep on living the same. Oh Lord, who's to blame? Oh Lord, who's to blame?
Alright, and you can see just with using some basic presets in Studio One, our song is already sounding much, much better. So enjoy adding EQs to your Studio One project.